Boom, baby. Boom goes
Beautiful.
the dynamite.
Thanks for the help. Right?
So now, yeah, because now yours is still readable, but your guest is side by side. This is the best view when you like want your guest to be able to like be displayed pretty prominently.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I wish I could have done this a long time ago. Maybe I'll just put myself down here now.
No, I'm not mad at you, Riley. Hey, I'm live as a guest on Trevor's live stream. Go check it out. I'm on my main account. Sorry, I'm streaming on YouTube too.
Hey, no, you're cool. It's fine. Tell me what I should call you, Little QB, or something else.
Brett's my name, or QB. Some people call me the Madman of Assisi, Cute Toes QB, Flirty QB, Deal Breaker. I have thousands of aliases, really, but Brett's my name.
So many. Okay, Brett. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, man. I'm gonna give you a... Do
you want to chat for a claim a little bit?
Yeah. So I saw your background, but then I got so invested in like getting the live stream set up.
Yeah.
And you usually since I saw you had like 5-minute interviews on the last one, I wanted to focus on helping you set your live stream up, because I know that the longer I stay on as a guest on my main account, the more people that'll come in that know me. So I was actually trying to buy time on purpose.
I appreciate it. That's fine.
Yeah.
No,
hey,
fine.
What's up, Anna? Shout out to Anna, my backup QB. Shout out, Anna. Yeah, but let's see. What does it say now? Claim A, God. Claim A, God exists. Claim B, the earth is flat. LOL. Or pick your own claim. Where are you on this scale of belief? Let me move this. Where are you on your scale of belief? Certainty? What is your rationale for that position? No, it's good. I just have a really bright light in my eyes. I genuinely have a really bright light in my eyes. But what's up, AJ? Shout out AJ in the chat, guys. Everybody give my co-host some likes. Tap the screen. Okay, so I'm Catholic, Roman Catholic. I was agnostic atheist for like 12 years of my life. I'd say like roughly like 10 to 12 years. And then I reverted to my faith like June 1st of 2022, and I started reading the Bible again. I was just like a Christian at first, and then I recognized the Catholic Church is the church Jesus founded, and so then I reverted back to my Catholicism.
What would you say is the most... Thank you for sharing all that. What would you say is the most fundamental claim to you? Something about God existing or Jesus, or what's the most important claim in all of that belief spectrum?
Oh, well, the most important claim is that, Jesus died and then resurrected again 3 days, I would say. That would probably be like that is the Trinity. The all of the Christian faith rests on the Trinity. So I guess you could really just say that, but which is the idea that God created the universe, and his eternally begotten Son died to reconcile humanity and our sins, and the Holy Spirit was then sent to guide the church.
So it's kind of the package there. Yeah, thank you. What I'm curious, I know you've been on a lot of lives where you probably talked a lot about facts and bickering about like evidences for particular things. That's not what I'm interested in
like
here.
Epistemological evidence, yeah.
Well, yeah, what I'm more interested in is how you chose your epistemology, or how it developed in your mind to lead you along this path of dots to get to your conclusion. Why did you choose this path? How did you get on it?
Wow. Okay, that's an even better question, to be honest. Like, because that's a fun one. So, I was raised Catholic, but like lukewarm, wasn't like really religious. Fell away from the faith, and then was like kind of like exploring all different world religions. Gravitated towards like ideas of reincarnation, Buddhism for a little while. I think I could still the 7 chakras. Wait, they're the root chakra, sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown chakra. I think I got all of them. But so then I kind of was just like floundering about. But then that ultimately led me to start reading the Bible, going through some withdrawals after trying to quit some substances on my own for a certain amount of time with no success past like a month, maybe we'll say. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm actually going to like put it on God. Like I'm going to ask God for help, even though I truly like didn't believe at the time. I was like, I'm going to pretend like God's real, and I'm going to read this to like, because I'd never even read the Bible. I just was like, it's probably a fairy tale. I didn't give it a fair shake. So I'm like, I'm going to read it, and I'm like really going to try. And on the very first day, I got a sign in the number of generations from Abraham to Jesus. It's 42. It says 14, 14, 14. You add it up, it's 42. And in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the meaning of life, the universe, and everything is 42. And he's an atheist that wrote that book. And I always thought, like, what is that? And real quick, I always thought, like, why? And it was a nonsensical thing he always said. But I was like, what is it? Like, I would always like go, just like typical like burnout, like trying to find something and nothing that's there, right? So I was like looking for a hopeless, meaningless thing, and I came to the conclusion that life was meaningless. So on that first day when I was like trying to see a sign and I saw that the number of generations from Abraham to Jesus is 42, I remember Jesus is, in Catholicism from, growing up, that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And it just clicked in my head that I'm like, wait, what if the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life, is I am? That's the name that, Moses was presented to by God, when he was the burning bush. I am who I am. So I was like, like, that's just like a cold sentiment to say to somebody. What if that is the answer? Like, the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life? I am. It's a person, not a thing, like not a desire, but rather a person who is God. I think that's kind of like,
okay.
Yeah, that's how I kind of came to it. So God helped me with my addictions, basically. That's why I accepted that Christ was God. I was able to overcome my addictions. Sorry, I kind of like I get excited, but yeah, so I was able to overcome my addictions by the first time I started
I'm
reading
interested
scripture.
in. Let me try and make sure I understand what you're saying. And if I'm putting words in your mouth that's wrong, please correct me. But you're saying something like, I had some experiences with a past that was murky, and you feel that God had pulled you out and also led you nuggets of interesting things along the way that you can't really explain. And your main reason for believing in God is because you see that change in your personal life. Is that kind of close to what you're...
Yeah, I would say that is very well put. Yep, 100%. It's completely anecdotal. Okay. Then once I read the gospel, I recognized how important faith is. It literally says that Jesus could not perform many miracles in his hometown because of their lack of faith. So like, yeah. So
do you think that, have you heard of the outsider test of faith by chance?
That I have not heard of, but so basically I would summarize it as Soren Kierkegaard eventually he's my favorite philosopher. Are you familiar with him?
Yeah.
The father of
great, yeah.
Yeah, the father of existentialism. Yeah, he's my favorite existentialist philosopher for sure, but I took the leap of faith by believing that the Bible might be able to help me in some way, even though I didn't believe in God, and then God proved himself to me by allowing me to be able to quit those addictions where I had no success on my own. So that's what I would say. But yeah, I have like pictures of an angel I took in the sky, if you want to see that. Tons of little nuggets.
So, yeah, no. 2 questions and then we can be done if you want. But first, where on the scale are you with the claim that, let's just start with something basic, like God exists. If that is your claim, and maybe you can expand it to say God intercedes and God has given you guidance or anything like that. On the most fundamental claim, would you set between 0 and 100% on certainty, that you are certain you could not be wrong, you're closed-minded about it, if that's 100%? Where on the scale do you fit with that claim?
I would rather be dead than believe that God doesn't exist, so it's 100. Yeah.
I'm not talking about the red side. I'm not talking about red side. If you believe God doesn't exist, that's the red side. I'm talking about how much do you believe that he does exist?
100%. It's 100%. Like, it is literally like you said, closed-mindedness. That's why I said, like, it is completely closed off. Like, nobody can convince me because I was at my last card. Like, so I want you to, like, imagine, like a poker player. It's the World Series of Poker, and one guy got a full house. I have one card in my hand. There's no way I could win, right? I played that one card. It was the Joker, and that wild card was Jesus. So I'm all in. Like, this is it. This is my last card. I'm all in.
To me, my personal conversations with people about God, and a lot of my friends who do the same kind of chat where we do street epistemology like this, we often hear a very similar story that lead people to diametrically opposing positions to yours.
Right,
like Islam, Mormonism, any basically belief. It can be politics too, that God led them to a particular political view and therefore it is true and therefore God exists. What do you say to those people who oppose your view but got there the same way you did?
For sure. So
should they be justified at the same place? Sorry, go ahead.
So I was going to say, so in Catholicism, we are taught to respect all religions because all spirituality comes from God. You could actually look at Catechism 846 through 849. It speaks about how those who have not heard of Christ and his gospel can actually still go to heaven as long as they've lived according to their conscience, because God gives us our conscience and his law is written on the heart of every man.
I'm not so
So
much interested
they're
in
justified.
like what you think will happen to them
Okay.
after this life. I'm more interested in how you evaluate their arrival at beliefs.
Okay. Well, yeah, I would say that like they have some piece of the truth, but not the full truth, because the truth is Christ. So, out of the ones you mentioned, Islam would be the closest to us. So the Catechism and Catechism 841 does say they're included in God's plan of salvation. They're also an Abrahamic religion. So Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, I would say, have well, Christianity has the full truth. Judaism is the root of Christianity, and Islam recognizes God. Allah is God, as in, YHWH. I won't speak his name, not in prayer, but I am who I am. You know who we're speaking about.
So you would say that they have a piece of the truth, but that yours is more complete, and that
Yes.
that belief is based on the same experiences that they might have, but theirs says that theirs is the complete truth and yours is the partial truth. How are you deciding which one of those paths is more is more accurate to reality?
For sure. So we would just look at history. So for instance, we could easily disprove the Quran by looking at history, seeing Jesus was crucified. We could look at Tacitus, Phlegon, Pliny the Younger, Josephus. All of these are non-Christian sources which show that Jesus Christ was crucified. The Quran claims that Jesus wasn't crucified. It was just made to appear as though he was crucified. So there we go. We're able to disprove the Quran historically speaking. So we would look at factual
just taking
evidence.
that example. Just taking that example, like I don't believe in the Quran either. I think it's we can talk about what it's good for, what it's not good for, but what I'm most interested in is why your path along your specific belief in tagging Josephus, Flavius, all these particular sources, and then taking those above the sources that they might point to as valid for their. How do you determine which source has more weight, I guess?
Okay, yeah, for sure. So, the historicity of Jesus Christ and his existence is pretty much the gold standard of ancient history. We could look at Alexander the Great, for instance, and I believe the first reference to him in history is hundreds of years after his death, and we recognize him as a real person. Even people I believe Aristotle, it could be hundreds and hundreds of years before somebody had ever even mentioned them, but we recognize them as real people. So it's just a standard of evidence.
Sure.
And we could clearly see there are many non-Christian sources showing Jesus, was crucified under Pontius Pilate, and his followers claim to have seen him resurrect. So that is why I believe it is historically factual that he was crucified, at least, and my faith is where I take the leap of faith, believing that his followers did actually see him resurrect. And what is the best evidence for that? The fact that they were willing to, be martyred for their faith. That, to me, that's what I take as the best evidence of the resurrection. So in terms of the pagan religions, we could disprove those by, looking at the fact that they worship things within the world we see, and we can tell that God is, we can know that God is something beyond this reality. He's clearly not something that is tangible. God is ungraspable. We cannot fully know God until we die.
I think getting to the point where we can start disproving other religions requires us to adopt a specific set of beliefs in the first place. And I'm not there yet because I haven't I'm no longer associated with any particular religious belief system. And so I can't use your metric to disprove theirs until I determine that yours is superior. Not only superior, but merits my belief. And I guess that's where I'm stuck.
We're not talking about faith. Historically speaking, Christianity is going to come out on top as being the most historically true, even if you don't believe that Jesus Christ was resurrected. You could look into this. Like I said, you can rule out the pagan religions, or you could look at Krishna. A lot of people say Krishna came before Christ. Krishna is actually a copy of Christ if you do a lot of research into that topic. But yeah, so you can look at all of the religions in the world, and there are people who are wandering, great men who performed so-called miracles, but all of those tales came hundreds of years after that the so-called person lived. Jesus Christ is the only person who we could historically prove as being someone who claimed to be God performed these so-called miracles, and his followers said he resurrected, but we have non-Christian sources outside the Bible that literally, like, some people were like mocking him. Like the first image of Jesus was actually, they found it in like a Roman guard's quarters or something, and it's a man on on a cross with a donkey head, and it said like, "All hail the donkey god," like making fun of him.
Right.
Probably a soldier that maybe had converted or something is what they thought. But yeah, so the non-Christian sources verify him as being real and being crucified under Pontius Pilate, and people claim that he resurrected. So that's why I believe it's the most factually, or it's like with what we could see, the data that we could see. It seems like the best bet, even if you don't have faith. It just seems like the best bet, analytically speaking, without faith.
Where I might differ from some of your other live co-hosts is that I am tempted, but I'm not going to go down any of those rabbit holes. I've heard compelling counter arguments to all of them, but I don't want to talk about that. What I want to just get from you is your placement on this graph and why you think it's justified, and I got that. And so I really appreciate your time. I'm mostly interested in people who are open-minded to them being wrong, because I think we're all human and have imperfect faculties and imperfect reasoning and imperfect sensors. So I think we could be wrong about everything we believe. So that's why
beautiful.
That's why I'm not 100% on any particular belief outside of myself. And I don't see a good reason to justify 100% belief in even Jesus existing, or not existing. I wouldn't.
I was gonna say, yo, 100%. That's funny you said that. Wait, that's funny you said that. Right as my friend Matt, shout out to Matt, Rockin' Librarian. Shout out, dude. You're in. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But that's funny you joined, because no respectable scholar, atheist or theist will say that.
No,
Jesus
we're on the same page there.
Exist.
I think Richard Carrier is a fringe person, and I think most people of the existence. I'm on the same camp as you, but I'm not 100%. I'm at like 99%. That's my point, is that I don't think we should be at 100%
of him existing
for things outside of ourselves.
Of him existing.
Anything outside myself.
Well, then we have to throw away all of ancient history. We have to throw away all of ancient history. Jesus Christ is the historic. Is the gold standard of ancient history. If you do not believe he existed, you have to throw out all of ancient history. It's all gone. Aristotle didn't exist. Plato didn't exist. None of them.
That's where we're not.
If you say that.
We're not communicating well. We're not communicating well, because I'm not saying I don't believe. I'm saying I'm 99% instead of 100, and to me, that's a really important percentage, because it means I could be wrong about some things. I'm not saying that I'm throwing anything out. I'm just saying there's a chance that something got messed up in 2,000 years on the way to my brain. Maybe it's my own imperceptions that are flawed. I think he existed. I think he was a real person, but I'm 99% sure. I don't have a good reason to put me on 100%, because 100% to me.
Do you have a reason to doubt? Do you have a reason to doubt? Because like if you're just doubting for the sake of doubting, like I said, you could you could look into this more on your own as to why I believe he's the gold standard of ancient history. Him being existing as a person, but it just seems like if you're willing to doubt that, then that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to then just throw out all of ancient history, and it seems like you can't even like have a tangible grasp on, like, you can't even use the scientific method, really. You can't even use the scientific method.
No, I think that's where I disagree the most. Is the scientific method is tuned to be only in the 99%. It does not operate on complete certainty. It can never prove anything true. Only deduction and math can prove things true.
Well, there's degrees. There's degrees of there's degrees of chance of likelihood. There's a difference between a hypothesis and there's standard deviations. In degrees of certainty. So of course, a theory is more certain than a hypothesis. So like, for instance, evolution is both a theory and a fact. I believe that.
Right. So I am by trade a scientist. I study acoustical physics, and so I live in this world, and I completely agree with you. I think what we as society sometimes tend to do is flush things down to a false dichotomy, where things are either true or they're not, and we have to believe that they're either true or they're not. Things are true or not. There's no false dichotomy. There's
So
a
you
true
believe in
dichotomy.
objective? You
But
believe in
our-
objective? Do you believe in like an objective morality or no?
It depends on which subset of morality you're asking about. In some cases, yes. In some cases, no.
Okay. Okay.
But
so like murder is wrong.
But for me,
would you say yes?
I would not say it's always wrong. I'd say it's most of the time wrong.
That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong by definition, because murder means the unjustified unaliving of an innocent. Therefore, you are wrong by definition. This is what I was saying, man. You don't need to doubt everything just for the sake of doubting.
No. So
I got
answer
you.
to
I
that
got you,
is
man.
that
I got you. I just took your rook. I got you.
the definitions that we use are not prescriptive. They're descriptive, right?
Oh,
And we all
is
use
Matt still
multiple
here?
definitions. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So we have a definition for murder that you were using and a definition for murder that I was using, and
What's
they're
your
not
definition?
the same.
What's your definition of murder?
Well, what I was using in the moment was an immoral killing, a killing that was, that I guess that's circular if I use it in that context, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
I would still
you
win
were
that
saying-
one. Yeah. Murder.
But in my view, it would be like a killing that was unjustified, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
So murder is always wrong.
But to say that right?
No.
I don't want. I think you're right in general.
I got the W.
But
Did
my
I get
point-
the W? I love debating.
I think
this is what I do. I
Yeah,
like
sure.
debate.
No,
I'm actually
I will
having fun
concede
with you
that
and
I.
I'm
No,
not
yeah,
like
I will
Matt.
concede that. No, I'm not either. That the word murder, I thought killing instead of murder, and so you tricked me there, and you got me. I would have said killing is not always wrong, but murder, as long as we're on the same
Bingo.
definition, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But we're not
That's
on the
why
same definition there.
I specifically did use the word murder over KILL because of that. Because
Sure.
I would agree with you on the K word. Usually, you probably might not want to say KILL too much on here. Say unalive. It kind of might flag your live if you say the K word.
I've heard
That's
that,
just what the
but
big
I've said it a
creators do.
lot. Maybe I just don't have a big enough following for it to matter. So
I think that's
but yeah.
probably why, but I don't know. You seem really intelligent,
So-
guys. Give them a follow if you haven't yet.
I
man.
appreciate
I'm
that.
really excited
Hey, so
to talk to you.
my closing point here,
For sure.
point is that it's okay for us to be in the realm of not 100% certainty about
I agree.
everything exterior to us. I think you were saying that we shouldn't doubt for the sake of doubting.
Right.
And I'm saying we shouldn't jump to belief that's higher than we have the evidence for. And the evidence that we have is always imperfect. There is no perfect evidence unless we're talking about math and deduction, which we're not. We're talking about induction and abduction, right? So for me, I think living in a 99% certainty world, it's just like about hard solipsism, right?
Oh man. Solipsism is the idea that we cannot be sure if anybody else is truly conscious or not. We can only know our own awareness, and we can never know if anything outside of our own awareness is real. That led me to want to unalive myself for sure. That's why I cannot be agnostic, atheist, or anything like that. I literally wanted to, I lived a hedonistic lifestyle. It was horrible.
Yeah,
That's why I come on here.
I don't
to fight
think
for
we
Christ.
should.
Did you know the
I
father
think
of the
we
Big
shouldn't
Bang
get stuck
Theory was
there.
real quick? Do you believe that the Big Bang Theory is valid into how the universe was probably started?
As scientists describe it, yes, but not how it's portrayed in pop media.
Okay. Did you know that the father of the Big Bang Theory is actually do you know what his occupation was?
No, I don't know much about the history of this person.
He was a Catholic priest.
Yeah, that's how we got most of our science is from theists. I agree with that.
Yes,
Yeah.
the father of modern science, Sir Isaac Newton, did profess to be a Christian. Exactly. So wouldn't you think, I know this could be confirmation bias, but don't you kind of think that might have been God revealing it to those people because he reveals things
Oh,
in
absolutely.
steps?
I absolutely think that's a possibility. I just don't have good reason to believe that just because an expert is an expert in one field makes him an expert in other fields automatically.
That's true. You could say it's a fallacious appeal to authority for sure.
Hey, no,
For
I
sure.
appreciate the time, and I
has been
really
fun.
enjoyed talking to you.
This has been
Yeah.
fun. Guys,
Well,
give him a follow.
I'd be up for doing it again another time, but I
Sounds
appreciate your
good.
time.
Thank you, man. All right, I'm going to back out,
Okay.
guys. I'm going to get ready to go live myself. See you later, man. Peace.
Talk to you
God
later.
bless.
See you.
myself. See you later, man. Peace.
Talk to you later.
God
See
bless.
ya.
That was lit.
All right. Well, I really thought that was a very kind and thoughtful exchange, except for it was trying to bait, which I'm not trying to do. I'm actively trying to avoid that. And he dunked on me with a W, with a bait and switch with the word that he used, which was fine. It didn't matter to me because I don't care about debating. But I do care about making sure that people have beliefs that are in balance.
I got the W in the debate I was just in.
The way that they arrive at those beliefs. So I appreciated the conversation. I think that was great. Yeah, appreciate the time. If anyone else wants to join, now that my live button works again, I can add people and we can chat again too. But jump in the box. You should have asked him about the angel. Yeah, I don't know about which angel you're referring to. We could talk about angels of Mormonism too, and that would steer everything in different directions and probably would waste a lot of time. Oh, you should have asked me about the angel. Maybe. The problem is that we have so many different rabbit holes that we go down on both sides of this theist debate that it wastes a lot of time because we're not convincing anybody. And I think a more productive use of our time is to talk about epistemology and talk about what we use to go down specific paths. So I found persuasion to be most effective in this domain where we're not talking about the specifics, which we kind of devolved into that last conversation, but instead we talk about the methodology for arriving at the beliefs. That's, I think, where we should have sat more. But I tipped my hat he's got an amazing follower count. So I just went with his flow, but maybe I should be more on top of things with where I would like to go with the conversations in the future. But it was a good learning experience for me, at least. And I appreciate that there was so much to talk about and that we hadn't...
Nobody else is requesting.
It devolved into
Should I request him on a different account?
Not necessarily that it would be bad, but that we didn't get angry or emotional to the point of closing off minds. I think it was mind-opening for if either of us was on one way or the other. We were both, I think, on the side of toward opening our minds a little bit. Although it's really hard for me to work with someone. Not that I'm trying to persuade anyone, but to have a real, genuine conversation with someone who is closed-minded about their beliefs. There are things such as agnostic theists and agnostic, I think you mean atheists. There are also pragmatic agnostics. Oh, right. So yeah, I'm trying to get away from that 4x4 grid where we're talking about agnosticism, Gnosticism, theism, atheism, because I think that is too simplifying. And it reduces a scale of spectrum of where it's okay
I just had a really cool debate with this guy. I screen recorded and I'm going to upload it to my channel. He conceded I got the W, but he's really smart.
You can claim all of that space, and knowledge is just a subset of beliefs. So it makes sense to me to put it all on the same scale. I missed a few comments, sorry. I'm completely atheist, but I will pray when I'm around Christians to not be rude. Yeah, I get that sentiment. I think not being rude... I think being rude has its place, but I'm not personally one of those players who does that game, so if you want to do that, go ahead, but I prefer to try to open the door for civil conversation that can lead to both of us getting closer to truth.